Hello, everyone. Welcome to the stream. I'm Kel McDonald. I make comics you can read at kelmcdonald.com.
And I am Alina Pete, and I make comics you can read at alinapete.com or at weargeek.com.
And we're Drawn Comics.
It's been a magical week here on the old internets. Absolutely nothing
Yeah?
happened. It's been real quiet. Just been minding our own business.
I don't look
Nothing's
at or
been
check
burning down.
I don't look at or check the Bird website. So
The Bird website.
I know
I have
big
a question
news
then.
happened there,
If
but
you don't check the Bird
I did
website,
not see everyone discussing it because
yeah,
I have other things to do.
as do I. But I'm curious, how do you promote your stuff then if you are not promoting it on the terrible Bird site?
I have a newsletter which just updated today.
Cool.
So I send that out monthly. The only way I interact with the Bird website is I use a site called Tweettimer. So I can put tweets into Twitter, but I do not look at Twitter.
You don't have to go there and be part of the society ruining conversation.
And Tweettimer actually has a different password system, so I'm actually about to talk to someone to hire them to make social media posts for me. And so Tweettimer is, I'm going to use it as a way for them to be able to post to my Twitter, but they can't do anything else with it.
Right, you were saying.
Yeah, and then I was talking to Kevin about what to do about promoting your work if you don't want to use Twitter, which
or can't, because it's yeah.
Or can't.
There are many reasons to object.
And so basically, right now,
today's drawing of us is good.
He thinks that Twitter is actually going to stick around longer than people assume.
I as well. I don't think it's going anywhere immediately, but I think what I use it for may be changing rapidly.
But right now, so the deal with social medias is that the social media as is right now is in a weird state where well, so the thing is like young people today don't want to make
these days
their own website. They don't want to make their own website.
Didn't grow up with GeoCities.
They don't want to make their own website. A lot of the ways to make a website have been like slightly obscured from them. So part of it is that they don't know how. And the other part is even if they did, because of the landscape of social media, there isn't really like a good reason to have your own website. Like,
no.
So many social medias are designed to keep you in their bubble.
Yep.
And not let you leave.
Have you as part of their network because you're content for their site, which is an advantage for them, but also sort of an advantage for creators because it means that other people who like stuff similar to yours can find you, which I find is mostly what people have been using Twitter for.
Well, so here's the deal with why Twitter's gonna stick around a little bit longer is because people who are like, if I make my own website, then I'll just be, no one will be finding it, and there's nowhere
for people to jump to yet, which is why people are just going to still stick around Twitter.
But so let me finish. When someone is like, well, there have been other social medias, why not use those? And at the moment, you have TikTok, its algorithm is so powerful that you will find a lot of new people, but if you get those people, it will be fucking impossible to get them to go to your website and be off of TikTok.
Yeah, I'd heard that was the biggest problem with TikTok, is there's no way to monetize your stuff on there. Like,
yeah, so there's no way to get people to go to Kickstarter or whatever crowdfunding service you're going to use. And then the problem with Tumblr, as Tumblr exists today, not Tumblr of the past when people were actively using it.
Oh, we'll get to Tumblr later.
Tumblr of today wants you to look at only who you follow. So that actually makes discoverability very hard because it doesn't really push you outside of who you already follow.
I have been playing with Tumblr though, and their tags are a lot more popular, or at least their tags are a lot more discoverable than on other sites. So if you tag, say, the Lock Tomb fan art, like I've done,
but
I've actually gotten.
That's
it's fan art,
than
exactly.
Your own things.
Yeah, and people will come to you because of the fan art, and then I've had some followers follow me, I think, because they're just like, oh, okay, there's other art here that I also enjoy.
But that's adding extra steps, unlike Twitter right now. As much as everyone complains, I don't want to see who my followers favorite. That does actually drastically increase discoverability for an indie artist.
It really does.
And then the thing is that Facebook and Instagram are basically worthless unless you're going to give them money. So the benefit of Facebook and Instagram is if you do make ads, they do work.
But they are spendy.
Facebook wants your money, they're okay with you leaving the Facebook verse. But the barrier to entry is you must give them money.
I mean, it's less that they want you to leave the Facebook first. They would love if you could stay there, but then they couldn't sell to advertisers who have product pages off-site.
They can't sell to advertisers if they don't. So, that is why. So all these reasons make Twitter at the moment uniquely situated to be the thing that lets artists promote their stuff.
And like,
so all that said,
that world is such a small part of what Twitter actually is and does, but it's so important for indie creators because it's the only venue we have for that.
This is like as far as indie creators, and then also Twitter is extremely good for writers.
Yes. Oh yes. I follow quite a few writers on Twitter.
Yes. So basically, Twitter is probably going to stick around because Instagram is no good for writers.
No, it's very bad for writers.
Tumblr is also not super great for writers.
No.
Unless you're writing fan fiction. And so because there is, and then TikTok is not good for writers. So because Twitter is the only place that's good for writers, that will actually probably keep TikTok. That will probably keep Twitter more relevant despite what Elon Musk is doing or whatever he wants to do.
And also why we haven't seen a lot of indie creators jump off immediately because they're, like I said, they don't have anywhere to go to, and a lot of their current business model is based around, this is where my fan base is and this is where I interact with them.
So, for artists, newsletters are where to go. Artists apparently, as far as promo work put in and things that come out, newsletters are the thing that artists get the most out of.
But are newsletters not just for people who already follow your stuff? Because obviously, in order to request a newsletter.
This is where it's like, so you advertise that you have a newsletter while posting your fan art and whatnot. Because...
And then people who are interested enough will sign up, is the theory?
Yes. And the unique thing, and this is why also newsletters are particularly well suited to someone like me who hates to update social media. Newsletters are like anti-Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
The less you update them, the more they work.
Yeah, once a month, great.
Because every time you send out a newsletter, you're going to get a couple of people that unsubscribe,
Yep.
and that number increases the more you send out a newsletter.
Yep. Same thing with Patreon, big Patreon updates I'm finding. A Patreon newsletter is actually something I've been exploring lately. I will ask, though, why do through your own site rather than through something like Patreon? Because it's not behind paywall?
Because it's not behind a paywall. It's not behind a paywall. Hold on. I have to. Basically, not behind a paywall, and I control it.
Yeah.
So, if Patreon implodes, this is where it's like I copy it to everywhere, and everywhere I put it says this is cross-posted from my newsletter. Sign up to my newsletter.
Mm-hmm.
And that is like insurance to
that if Patreon were to
Patreon
suddenly
implodes,
shit the bed tomorrow and we all need to escape from that burning building.
If Patreon implodes, or if it gets bought by Elon Musk,
mm-hmm.
or whatever.
Well, I don't think he's buying any more social media after this debacle.
And also, because Patreon, even if I make public posts on Patreon, people see that you have to sign up and make an account and give a lot of information, and that's maybe more information than they want to share.
Yeah, I also know I had a couple people who were like, back when Patreon was still like, maybe we'll do NFTs or something, were like, I'm gonna leave because I don't want to support that. And I'm like, that's fair. And I think there's still a little stigma about that around it. So people are like, yeah, Patreon, it's like one of those like NFT things. No.
Yeah, so basically the newsletter is something that I control. And since there's no paywall, people are more willing to sign up. You don't have to give any credit card information, which is a big thing. Like to sign up for Patreon, you have to give them some way to give them money. So giving your email is a lot safer than just
especially since wise internet folks know that having a burner address is super good, super useful for stuff like this. Yeah. No, I know another friend who's had really, really good luck with a newsletter recently, though they've been using Patreon as their main distribution point for it. But that's because it's sort of one of their Patreon levels. So they go, okay, well, at this certain level, you'll get, these exclusive drawings, but then also the patron-only newsletter once a month. And the newsletter is almost like a blog. It's sort of like, here's the things I did this month. Here's an interesting moment from my life. Here's a thought I had about something. And here's what I'm doing next month. Stick around. And the next month is important because it's like, stick around for the next month's newsletter and see all the cool stuff I'm doing then.
And so it's basically because the different steps are discoverability.
Yeah.
For us as independent creators, the problems are discoverability, keeping in touch with the people who are already interested in your shit.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is people are more likely to buy your stuff if they have a parasocial relationship and all that.
And that's one of the things that Twitter did really well, because I was chatting about this with a different friend this weekend as Twitter's imploding, where we're like, one of the things that like I realize that I never thought about before, but that was now I'm thinking about it is like, yeah, we haven't seen each other in like almost 10 years, but we follow each other on Twitter, and so we kind of know like the highlights from each other's lives. The parasocial relationship you get with people on a site like that is really real.
And so the replacement for that, it seems like, is going to be Discords.
That's what people are saying. I'm not sure that's a great substitute. Discord
Well, so like
feels
this
like you
is
have to be more
a
present with it. It's not like drop it and leave it posts on Twitter where you can just, here's a dumb thought I had today,
and
womp blomp, and then
it has
forget about it.
different pros and cons. Like the pro is that you can kick out assholes, and
That's a big pro.
um,
That's a big pro, and that you have
and so
full
yeah,
control
so
over
so
your server.
it does require more engagement, which is why I've been doing the werewolf movies in mine.
Hmm.
Um, and then but it works really well for indie video games, which is why
Right,
I'm trying it.
right.
Um, and
Kind of going
so
hand in hand with some of the streaming stuff you've been doing.
yeah. And I have been getting more people watching my streams because there's a bot that auto reminds people that I am streaming.
Nice, good.
And there's also a bot that will auto import my tweets and also auto import my RS feed from my website.
Interesting. So you could kind of get the same interaction without having to actually venture onto Twitter.
I did get someone to volunteer to be a mod. Right now, that's a fairly easy job because it is fairly quiet in my Discord.
That's the other thing, is I've found most of the Discords that I'm in, it's really hard to get that critical mass of people using it. So you sign on, you're like, hey everybody, and everyone goes, hi, how's it going? And then it's quiet after that.
And that is partly why I'm doing the movie nights, because that is increasing activity.
Yeah.
I am getting people who, like the chat while we watch the movie is the thing that is the most active.
I've seen a lot of React streamers do Discord movie nights as well. That's a cool idea. Or through Patreon, like do like a Patreon only streaming night.
Yeah, and so I set it so that Patreon backers have access to chat that is locked for everyone else, but that's just because it's to discuss the comic. That's Patreon exclusive.
Okay, gotcha.
So
also,
I
like it, people like having that little exclusive access to things.
Yeah. So I don't think I have enough patrons to have an active Discord. And so this is again the newsletter versus the Patreon issue.
Yeah.
Is that people don't want to, like, having too much of a barrier to sign up. Will get to people.
Yes. Yeah.
And so I just say, like, I put the link at the end of my newsletter. The link expires in a week. And if anyone wants to join that isn't a week after my newsletter goes up, then they can just ask me for the link.
Gotcha.
So it's not behind a paywall, but they do have to get the link from me. And so the reason...
That does kind of have a feeling of exclusivity to it, where it's like, you have to do something to be part of this.
So far, I'm liking the way it's going.
Cool.
And I have gotten more interaction from readers since making it, because I don't know about you, but I almost never get comments on my Patreon.
Yeah, no. I mean, every once in a while, I have a couple patrons that really comment, and I appreciate it a lot, because otherwise it feels like you're just posting your content to the void. But by and large, everyone's pretty quiet, you know. And I understand it. Like when people I follow on Patreon post, I like glance at their stuff, and I'm like, oh, cool, this is a thing. And then I, jump to another window or get back to whatever I was doing. I forget about it.
Yeah.
So I totally understand that impulse.
Yeah, and so the Discord has the active discussion angle that you get from Twitter.
Yeah.
But it's they feel more exclusive, so they feel like they are getting more of that parasocial bond than just through Twitter.
Well, and it makes it you feel like you're part of the process, like especially with Patreon, where you're literally giving money to see this person's stuff in an exclusive way. It feels like you're actively involved in it, which is nice.
And so then you get that. So I'm very like interested to see how this goes. Also, I've been told that once it does get to a certain like level of activity, you will get people who are like, come to this community.
Yeah, it's a real cool place to hang out.
Yes.
But you got to get to that level first, and can be a journey.
And I do think I'm getting more interactivity every time I do a movie showing.
Cool.
Because it was like 4 people showed up for the first one, 5 people for the second one. Then there was between 6 and 10 for the last 3. And right now it says 6 people are interested in watching the movie Wolf with me.
Cool.
So be interesting to see how it goes. And on the note of things that we did, a thing I talked about in my newsletter is I saw Wendell and Wild.
How was
this
that?
Weekend. It's good. There's a little bit of janky pacing. Because I feel like there is 1 or 2 too many subplots. Like all the subplots tied into the main plot.
Yeah.
But because there were so many subplots, the pacing kind of dragged at the beginning.
Gotcha.
So
I love a stop motion. So
yeah,
I am
and
definitely
I understand
going to watch
why
it.
they didn't want to cut it.
Yeah.
And it's because like you spent all that time doing thing, you don't want to like cut it.
Yeah. But it does make the plot a little.
Yeah. But it was very fun.
Cool. I've been hearing mixed reviews on it. Some people saying
that's probably
it's a mess.
Where the mixed reviews come from. Is because the pacing is kind of janky.
Gotcha.
Definitely, I say definitely see it because soundtrack slaps.
Good. I mean, I was gonna watch it anyway because like I must watch all stop motion.
Looks great. There's yeah, it's just like I understand it was just in development for so long that like I understand why they didn't want to
like delay it further.
Stuff.
Yeah.
Well, it's also like watching it like if you realize, oh, we should have cut this and then reworked this thing. This was in development for 10 years.
Yeah.
So
at that point, like, you really lose the big picture, and you're just like, we just need to get this done.
Yeah. Like, I was thinking about it, and so there's like Key and Peele playing demons. They're introduced doing a like menial job, and then it cuts to some other stuff that's going back, happening in the real mundane world, and then it cuts back to Key and Peele's characters while they're like talking about why they got stuck doing the menial task they were doing in the earlier scene.
Gotcha.
And then we cut back to the human world, and then we cut back to them again when they realize like a thing about their menial task, and then they go to the real world, and it's kind of like
that's a lot.
You kind of need like I would have like had them discussing why they're stuck on their menial job while doing it the first time.
I mean, it's so rough. So I have such sympathy for editors on stop motion pieces because I worked on a stop motion animated show for 4 seasons in a movie, and I definitely know the pain, viscerally the pain of being handed a shot that's already been shot and painstakingly animated, that does not work, and you're like, well, we can't. Like, all of the animators have gone home by this point, and I don't just mean gone home. Like, they're onto new productions and stuff. It's been out of shooting
And
for a
it's
while,
also,
and you
you
can't just
need
do
to
pickups because you
yeah.
need a whole studio to do the stop motion animation going, like the physical puppet part of it. So we're like, okay, well, we have the shot. It does not work. It's going to take me at least 100 hours to even make it something that can work.
Yeah.
If we were able to do pickups on this, it would maybe cost like 20 hours at most. So this is going to be a real expensive mistake, because, X, Y, or Z wasn't thought of while it was being shot.
Yeah. And, like, they had a screenplay, so I feel like if they maybe should have worked on the screenplay a little bit more.
Yeah. No, almost certainly.
Um,
That's one of the weird things that's different about stop motion and classical. So classical animation doesn't get done unless your storyboards are locked right in, and
unless you're at Disney.
unless you're at Disney. But like certainly if you're on like a TV budget, you gotta lock in those storyboards before anybody touches anything.
Yeah, because you just don't have time.
No, or budget or anything. But like,
yeah, like we can't redo this shit. That's why
you should be thinking about like that with stop motion, but people don't because they're like, it's like live action. You can just reshoot it, and it's like, nope.
There's a book I read called The Disney War, which is about Michael Eisner's rise and fall at Disney, and one of the first things in it is the Jeffrey Katzenberg comes in and is like, oh, this story isn't working. You need to like redo all this. And they're like, we can't.
No.
Like, it's not like live action.
Yeah.
And I feel like this is why Disney movies are so much more expensive than other animated movies, is because, like, I feel like they don't do as much work on the script stage than they do, because, like, in the Incredibles DVD,
yeah,
all the quote-unquote deleted scenes are storyboards.
Yep.
So they realized that they needed to cut this scene before they ever animated it. And the same goes for like Iron Giant. Like the quote-unquote deleted scenes are like half a minute long because it was just really like everything that was more than that, like they realized they needed to cut it like before
real soon.
It even got that far. And so it's just but then like I watched something like The Sweatbox. Have you seen The Sweatbox?
Oh god, yes.
Yeah. And it's like, oh, we made the whole movie and then we're told to scrap it.
Yeah, we're just chuck it out now. Yep.
Yeah, and
which is
like,
still happening there.
Yeah,
for different reasons, but it's still happening.
Like, well, because they're like, from listening to them talk about the movie, and not even seeing what got thrown out, I was like, oh, this is too much for one movie. Like, because they're doing a Prince and the Pauper thing, they're doing like Awakening of Incan Gods, they're doing a love story, they're doing like some eternal youth plot, like all this at once, and it's like
pick one of those.
This is like, just listening to it and not even seeing the final product, I'm going, this is not going to be a good movie.
Yeah, no. This ain't going to work. It sounds cool. The concept was cool, and they were really trying to make it work. But it was too much movie. And then we got
The Emperor's New Groove, which is a very
is good.
funny movie that I've seen 90 bazillion times.
Yep. It has no right to be as good as it is for how slapdash it was thrown together, but it's a good movie.
Yeah. The one thing I appreciated about the Sweatbox is Disney actually listened to Sting's criticism.
Yes.
Because they made the movie, and then they showed it, the rough cut to Sting, and he was like, so he didn't learn his lesson. And they were like, what? And he pointed out that, like, he still built Cusco-topia at the end, and he just moved it to a different mountain. So he just
he did not learn anything.
Made some other family that we don't care about lose their homes. And so then changing it to him just having a little cottage, like, is okay. Now he has learned his lesson. And
he doesn't need to live quite so large.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, man. Animation.
Yeah.
If comics is an industry that'll wreck you, so is animation. My God.
But animation will at least give you health insurance.
It's true. We don't. What's that? I mean, I can't complain. I'm in Canada.
I mean, you're Canadian.
I'm
you
Canadian.
know what health insurance is.
It's a thing I get. I still have to pay for my dentist though. I like having teeth. And teeth are expensive.
Teeth are nice.
Sorry, I'm First Nation, so I get some of my dental covered, not all of it. Despite what people might say about, Native people getting all the free stuff. I used to get, they gave me like $100 for my contact lenses or glasses every year, which is not even enough to cover a little bit of my old prescription, because my old prescription was like minus 18. So a set of glasses would cost me about $1,000. And the government's like, well, too bad, you get the same amount of money as everyone else. Here's $100. Good luck seeing. But at least I had that option.
I need to ask Ryan about a thing. Never mind, I found it.
So yeah, I am going to continue to... Oh, go ahead.
Ryan referenced an old-timey steam tractor in his script, and he sent me a link that's like the history of different tractors and plows. Nice. And I was like, which one does he want me to use? Because this one that has the right date doesn't look like a steam one. But I found the one that he wants me to use.
Cool. You know what I bet Manga Studio has already preloaded is a classroom desk. Manga material.
It does. You can have a whole classroom.
Hi, I would like an entire classroom for this one shot. Background, school facility. Oh man, look at this classroom and all these nice desks. Dang, Manga Studio.
Did you ever see the Japanese show Blue Blaze?
No.
It is about a guy who is in art school and is convinced he will become the most famous animator in his graduating art school class.
Good.
In his graduating art school class is the director of Evangelion. And the guy who formed Gainax.
Yep.
No, and the guy who formed Gainax.
Good,
and it's basically a list of who's who of the animation industry of that decade.
But he's like, I will be the best. That will be me.
Yes, so the humor comes from that he will fail in his mission to be the most memorable.
Right.
And the reason why he is not going to be the most memorable is because he is incredibly lazy. There is a part where he switches gears because comics will be easier than animation. And he is determined that he will draw a comic.
Yeah.
And he's thinking about things he can draw. And
Mangaka,
he's like, oh,
a nice...
if I draw a sci-fi thing, then I have to draw a big old space battle, and I don't want to draw that. And then he's like, okay, the easiest thing to draw will be like a mundane, like slice of life thing. And then he realizes there are 10 kids in the classroom. And that means I have to draw 10 desks and 10 chairs. That is 20 things. And then he says, okay,
too many things.
I figured it out. If he sits in the back corner closest to the window, then I will only have to draw his desk and chair. That's why so many anime protagonists sit in the back, close to the window.
Good.
But it's very funny because it's like just this guy realizing like how hard animation and comics are over and over again.
Good. Oh man. There is a I don't know if you've seen the webcomic on Webtoons, Let's Play, but there's a gag in there where the characters are at a bar. And he's like, let me take you to this little side room. Why? So the artist doesn't have to draw a bar full of people every time. And I was like, honesty, I love it. Good.
I mean, that's why City Between takes place in a world with no cars and horses have gone extinct.
Yep. All comics shall take place in a formless white void, like the Good Place.
Well, the thing is I actually like drawing cities, so that's why it's like it's in a big city, but
no horses or cars.
Yeah, fuck those.
Yeah.
And then I decided I hated myself and made You Are the Chosen One have 90 bazillion cars and I mean 90 bazillion horses.
Horses, yeah.
There's a fucking horse parade. Ugh.
This comic has thus far had both cars and horses. Here, I'll show you. There's my car I drew. Look at this car. And a school. And dog sleds.
Gross, gross. I don't mind the dog sleds.
Oh, they're a weird shape. I would almost rather prefer cars because there's more reference for them.
Well, see, here's the thing is because they're a weird shape and most people haven't seen them, no one's going to call you on them.
No, it's true. The shape is so weird, though, that I retaught myself how to use Blender so that I could make it and rotate it around in perspective so that I didn't break my brain. So, Tumblr is saying titties are back on the menu.
But only certain titties.
But only certain titties, and not porny, just titties.
Only particular titties.
We're gonna go a little halfway and try to recourt the audience that we lost, but leave the wording nice and vague so that if we need to clamp down on anything, we can.
I don't think it will work.
I don't think so. I am excited to continue my experiments on Tumblr, though, and just see if I can just post some art there and get even some likes, but hopefully build a little community and following on Tumblr.
Yeah.
It's not great for that. We'll see. But I will also cross-post on Instagram.
It's good for fandom bullshit.
Yeah. Well, and I've been indulging in some fandom bullshit these days, so I have some stuff to post, and it's fun. So we'll see. I'll see if that gets any traction. Fandom bullshit's the best bullshit. Back on my bullshit.
I drew a very silly. To someone recently about Anne Rice because of the Interview with a Vampire show.
It was very spicy.
And so, someone was like, "Oh, I gotta go reread the books and see if they're as gay as I remember." And I was like, well, because they were like, it's the first book I read that had gay characters in it, and I was like, that's very funny because the author is very insistent that they are not gay.
Yes. The book is very, very, very gay while still going, these characters are definitely not gay.
Yeah, she's a weird lady. But like that led into a tangent where, like, I actually dug up the exact quote, and she's a weird lady. There's also, in her quote, she kind of insists that because they don't have sex, their love is more pure.
Right.
And it's like, your Catholic is showing. But it's also like, she conflates the way Claudia and Louis interact to the way Louis and Lestat interacts to the way Lestat interacts with his mom. Like, it's like, these things are not the same.
No, not remotely.
And basically, according to her, someone becomes a vampire, and any sexual desires they have, like, get replaced
with
by
just vampire feeding desires.
This vampire vague desire. So she's like, they're still in love, but like, it's love that doesn't care about age, race, or gender. And it's like, Lestat and his mom is really weird. Claudia and everyone is really weird.
Yep, and just you.
And it's also like that like, these things are not the same, lady.
No.
But then we got on a tangent of do you know why vampires exist in
Anne Rice world?
Yes.
No.
So she changed her mind fairly recently.
Yeah.
Because Queen of the Damned says it's an evil spirit from ancient Egypt.
Yeah.
And then she decided, well, where did that evil spirit come from? And said evil spirit is actually a swarm of nanomachines made by aliens that built Atlantis.
Cool.
There was one survivor of Atlantis.
So she ascribed to the whole indigenous peoples are not smart enough to build shit on their own. They need aliens to come in and do cool technology.
I feel like she dodges that because it's Atlantis specifically. She's not saying aliens built ancient Egypt.
Yeah, it's just this is they built Atlantis.
They built Atlantis and then were destroyed. And the only trace of their existence are these nanomachines
that make vampires. They make vampires. So they're all nanotechnology creatures.
Yeah, and so there's apparently also a vampire neural network.
I'm trying to remember.
That continues vampirism throughout the years.
Good.
Good. And I'm just like, it would be wild if they put this in the show.
I'm trying to remember the Anne Rice timeline because I know she was originally Christian and then she had a very Wiccan sort of earth goddessy phase, and then she got real born again later. And I don't remember which books were written in which period. Certainly all of the vampire ones.
While she was born again, because you can't write about sexy gay vampires and be born again.
No, it's true.
That
is against the law.
So, all the early books are when she was very into Wicca shit.
Right, as are the witch books, obviously, because, you know.
Yeah. And then, she decided, actually, never mind, I'm not born again.
I'm just regular Christian.
I want to write more about Lestat, my favorite vampire rock star.
Yes.
And she so you would have to find the gap in the publishing of the series
to see when the born again phase was.
Yeah, because I know that she did not write anything while she was born again.
Gotcha.
Or she didn't write anything about the vampires while she was born again. She wrote some Jesus books instead.
Right. I forgot about the Jesus books. I never read them because, I mean, obviously.
I also didn't read them. I also did not read that many of her vampire books.
No, me neither.
Because I read the first 4, and then I stopped because the Vampiremond has boys in his basement. And I just closed that book and then walked away.
And you went, nope.
Nope.
No thanks.
Nope. No thanks. Out of there.
Don't want to engage with this.
But when I found out there's gay sex in the show, I was like, oh, so their dicks work.
Yeah, actually, that was what caught my attention about the show too. I was like, oh, they're doing vampire.
Their dicks work
the vampire
now.
thing. Oh, interesting. It's real gay, like actual gay.
Yeah,
cool.
Their dicks work.
Yeah. I just saw the GIF on Tumblr of the like floating vampire sex, and I went, well, interesting. This is the stuff that people wished were in the books, but kind of wasn't.
But her very insistence on them not having sex makes me wonder if she had written these today, when we have more of an understanding of asexuality, do you think she would have been like, becoming a vampire makes you asexual?
Maybe. It depends on what side of that turf spectrum is the wrong term for it, but there is a sort of a spectrum of people of an older generation who are like not quite as savvy on the whole gender and sexuality things.
Well, this is assuming that she writes them today and she is the same age that she wrote them when she...
Gotcha. So she's a current day young-ish Wiccan.
So she is like...
Yeah.
40 at the youngest, because Interview with a Vampire she wrote because she had a kid that died, so she has to be old enough that she has a kid that died at like 8 or 10.
So yeah, so 40-ish.
Like late 30s or early 40s.
I think a modern day Wiccan lady would be enough savvy enough about, gender identities and the spectrum of sexuality that she'd be like, yeah, being a vampire makes you asexual. Because you don't have
being aware of asexuality does not necessarily make her not a TERF.
No, it's true.
There is a line of Wiccanism that is so into period magic and like lady moon power,
goddessy,
whatnot,
goddess woman power, that TERFs are trans people are scary and dangerous and appropriating of our womanhood.
Very quickly into TERF nonsense.
Yeah, sure does.
So
real fast. She may have been of that ilk.
But like she could still be like being a vampire makes you ace.
Yeah. Well, and like the justification for it is sort of like your mortal instincts die, so like the need to procreate. When you become a vampire, you don't need to do that anymore. So there's like a hunger and feed instinct, but not a have sex with this instinct, because that's not how you make vampires.
On this topic of how supernatural things procreate.
Yeah.
I was talking to a friend about bad werewolf movies.
Oh, good.
And we were talking about the movie Cursed.
Yeah.
Starring Christina Ricci.
I don't know that I've seen that one.
It is directed by the guy who made the first Scream movie.
Good.
And that is about the tone that you're getting.
Good, good, good.
So, you got, in it, Christina Ricci and her brother, they get bit by a werewolf. Most of the movie is them figuring this out, because a lot of werewolf movies are very poorly paced.
Yep. Oh, I'm a werewolf now.
But the thing, it's I suddenly can sniff good, and
yes.
What does
Why
that
can
mean?
I sniff good?
And her brother, who's a teen nerd, is like, oh, clearly we're werewolves, and she was like, that is nonsense.
We're definitely not werewolves. Yeah. That's not a thing that can happen.
And then, the unique thing that it does is it decides that werewolfism can also be passed like an STD.
Oh.
And because of that, when you are a werewolf,
supernatural
everyone
gonorrhea
wants to fuck you.
Gotcha.
So everyone is just hitting on you all the time because
Gotcha.
Like everyone who is attracted to your gender. So it's like Christina Ricci at work, suddenly all her male coworkers are hitting on her. And then dude nerdy boy at school, suddenly the head cheerleader wants to fuck him, but also the guy that was bullying him and being a huge homophobe wants to fuck him. Turns out the homophobic bully is gay. Haha.
Of course. Brief aside,
like that.
Christina Ricci, I'm sorry you've had to play some real roles.
Yeah, so
you get sexualized a lot.
Much like, I don't think I have seen that replicated anywhere else.
No, that is kind of cool.
That being a werewolf makes everyone want to fuck you.
Yeah.
Like, I have seen werewolfism is passed as an STD thing in multiple places, but I've never seen and therefore it also makes you super hot to everybody.
Right. Isn't that a trope, though, in some of those, like, alpha male fetishy fetish kind of ones?
No.
Where it's like,
so a lot of those is being a werewolf passes via like a STD, but it makes you super horny. It doesn't necessarily make
because you need a reason for your characters to have tons of sex. Just
it doesn't make everyone throw themselves at you. It makes you throw yourself at everyone else.
Gotcha.
And the other thing that's in a lot of the alpha male bullshit werewolf stories is they frequently do you cannot refuse your alpha.
Yes. No, that's like the main thing where it's like, yes, or your mate, where it's like your mate is predestined, and whatever they need, you must service them.
The mate is predestined thing is less in the alpha male ones and more like just romantic ones. Because that's basically like my soulmate.
Yeah,
blah,
yeah.
Blah.
But often they'll do a twist on it where it's like the alpha really wants me, but my predestined mate is good and wise and kind.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just layers of fetishy. Horny werewolf books.
But yeah, the alpha male douchebag ones are frequently like, I can't disobey.
Yeah.
This guy because he's just too alpha. And then like, cause there's also that like the predestined mate thing is also because there's romanticism about wolves like mating for life. So that, like, if you're into soulmate shit,
that's your jam.
It might as well be the red string of destiny.
Yeah, might as well. But for wolves. For a wolf.
It does lead to, if you have not seen if you do not remember the 10th Kingdom, it does lead to a very funny scene where Wolf tells Virginia that he has never had a girlfriend before. And she's like, wait, what?
Wait, what though?
He's like, yep, I've never had a girlfriend. And then he is surprised that she has had other boyfriends.
Man, I had to draw 3 cars in this comic. 3 whole cars. So many cars. Oh, looks like my classroom is finished downloading. Let's see if I can make this thing work.
Any fun people chatting in your chat?
Chuckapop says Pinterest is great for writers. Okay.
Pinterest always strikes me as like a mood board. That might just be me being biased, because every time I see it, it's because it's like mood board for redecorating my living room or whatever. Like, that's what Spike uses Pinterest for. So she's like, I'm gonna have a taxidermied hyena.
Of course she does. Of course Spike would have a taxidermied hyena.
At least as far as goals go. She does not currently have one.
No, but like, if I walked into Spike's house and there was a taxidermied hyena, I wouldn't be like, this is a shocking thing to find here. I would be like, no, yeah, that tracks.
I was trying to explain to Kevin what a fan fiction like story is, like how to articulate that. And I feel like, at least to me, the thing that strikes me as like this is hitting fanfic buttons is when there's a lot of the characters just hanging out. Whether for good or ill, like, it's a lot of downtime, because I feel like a lot of the fanfics I see are like coffee shop AUs, or like, I just want the characters to hang out.
Where it's a little slower paced and it's more character focused.
Yeah. And not there is not necessarily always a goal to characters hanging out. It is more, the point is for them to hang out.
Yeah, it's a time for somebody who is a fan of those characters to have a little bit longer with them.
Yeah.
That is a thing that you see a lot in fanfic, because so often the characters are like, you know, moving around, moving the story forward, doing all the stuff that protagonists do. But the fans are like, I want more of just the two of them hanging out, being cozy or being comfortable, or, you know, all of those little moments, especially if they are in a relationship.
Cause I was telling Kevin that in Nimona, like reading it, I could tell that Noelle Stevenson got their start
as a fanfic writer.
As a fanfic writer, or fan comics, because they I believe that they made like Lord of the Rings fan comics.
Yeah.
Because like the whole first 2/3 of Nimona are basically those for a thing that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
And then you get like the actual plot
later
in the last third of the book. And I feel like there's a lot of modern animation that is really tapping into fandom. That part of the reason why I bounce off it is I feel like I'm not getting the story parts that make me care. I'm only getting the fanfic without the thing. Main example I think of is Voltron.
Oh.
While watching Voltron, I constantly felt like I was missing something because they would reference things that didn't happen. And I just felt like, well, no wonder everyone writes fanfic for this. It basically already is fanfic.
Yeah. Voltron. I am not super familiar with that fandom. I did a fun thing.
They're oddly obsessed with Keith, who I think has all the personality of a plank of wood. That's what all the shipping wars are about. It's
really?
who will Keith kiss, and it's like, why Keith out of all of them?
I do not care about this one.
You could replace him with a plank of wood and a smiley face, or no, a frowny face drawn on it, and everything would happen the same in that show. I watched all of Voltron except for the last season because I have a problem. And that's I sometimes watch shows that I do not like and just don't stop.
Just because it's on and you're drawing and it's hard to stop them.
Yeah. But yeah, I was baffled when I found out that like Keith is the character that everyone wants to hook up with someone else in the show. Because he is all the personality of a plank of wood.
Like, why do they care about this guy? I love when a fanfic writer manages to pull off a weird crack pairing that you're like, actually, that's more interesting than the main whatever pairing is canon. That's a cool take.
I think I'm just not into the big broody guy type that a lot of fandom
is super stupid into. Yeah.
Like, as someone who has seen all of Teen Wolf, MTV's Teen Wolf, I did not understand the appeal of Derek and Styles because they have like 2 lines of dialogue interacting. Like, so sometimes when there's a popular ship, even if I don't agree with it, I'm like, I get it. They're always fighting. And you think that's hot. Like, but, like, or, like, they had a couple of scenes together where they have, like, similar goals or whatever. But, like, Derek and Styles is, like, they exchanged a look. And then all of their scenes after that are in, like, the second season onward, baiting people who are into that ship.
Right.
So, like, Whereas, like, I don't know, Styles and Scott, like, they're BFFs. If someone said those BFFs should kiss, I was like, that would make way more sense. Like, literally any other character with Styles would make sense.
Makes more sense. Yeah. I do not know the characters you're talking of, so I cannot weigh in on that. But I've never been
Styles
one
is
for the big and
snarky
broody
best
either.
friend of the main character, and Derek is the broody older werewolf that teaches the main character how to werewolf.
Good.
So,
good.
Like, they don't even interact.
Right.
Like, the first season, and then suddenly was like, these two are the ship. Like, and I was like, really?
There's some that I'm not into, but I understand, where it's like, okay, I get the like enemies to lover thing. You really like the tension of them not liking each other and then suddenly realizing they like each other.
Yeah, like,
I get it.
I can buy that.
Not my cup of tea, but I see it. I see where you're coming from.
Yeah, I understand why someone would find that interesting.
The Big and the Broody is one of those where I'm like, I understand. I think why people like this. It's the whole like, oh, he's so mysterious. Maybe I could get him to open up. I think that's what's going on with that one. But I'm like, I don't care if he's super boring. I don't care about this strange sad man.
I feel like also sometimes maybe the base of appeal of blocks of wood like Keith and Voltron, maybe the appeal is that he has no personality other than what you decide he has in your head.
Maybe.
So
you can kind of decide for yourself.
In MTV's Teen Wolf, the guy who plays Broody, mentor, older werewolf, Derek, plays Superman now, and it shows how completely miscast this actor was as Broody, older werewolf. Because he is great as Superman, he's like the right amount of dorky charming.
Perfect.
Like,
makes a good Clark Kent, makes a good Superman.
He's a good Clark Kent, he's a good Superman. Like,
yeah, that's miscast then, because that's a good combo. That's a good actor who can pull that off.
His character in Teen Wolf, I was frequently like, you are a grown-ass man. Why are you talking to these teenagers? And I started to like his character.
Their weird drama.
Yeah, and I started to like his character better when he started to hang out with all the teenagers' parents.
Good.
AKA people closer to his age. And
why do you care about any of these teens and their weird wolf drama?
I mean, he cares about main character's wolf drama because he's the only other werewolf in the world, the area. But why does he care about the rest of the teen drama? I don't know. Why does he keep showing up at the high school? That's weird. He shouldn't do that. That
is weird. Nope. That'll get you a restraining order, sir. Don't do it.
Go home to your abandoned, burnt-down house and brood some more.
Yeah.
But yeah, but you know, like, I feel like all the ships that came out of She-Ra, well, I didn't ship anyone in She-Ra. I was like, yeah, these check out. Like, there were none where I was like, this does not make sense.
Yeah, why is this a ship? You're like, no, yeah.
Because it's like Adora and Catra. I don't agree with it, but I get it.
Yep.
Catra and Scorpia.
Get it.
I
totally get it.
Why you appeal to this. But yeah, just sometimes when they're like, this block of wood boy,
you're like, I don't like this block of wood. Got no personality.
It's like, he's a block of wood. What is the appeal of this block of wood?
I can dress him up and make him whatever I want to be.
I can put various hats on him. But
Sort of why
I
many of the
also
romance protagonists are so boring, because it's like, no, you can make this romance protagonist whoever you want him to be, or her.
the very short-lived comedy vampire comic that I was making with Magnolia Porter. We had the bad boy vampire, and then the good vampire. The joke is that he's boring.
Good.
Like, whenever we cut to him, he's doing something extremely mundane. Like, one of the scripts that we wrote was, both vampire boys are trying to get closer to the main girl, and, they ask her best friend what are her likes and dislikes. The best friend says she likes to be the prettiest girl in the room. She likes it when bad things happen to people she hates. We had another thing that just implied that she was awful. And then the last thing is grapes. She also likes grapes.
Good.
And so the bad boy vampire goes up to her and says, "Who do you hate?" And then he proceeds to maim all the girls that she hates. And meanwhile, and then occasionally we would cut to the good guy vampire who is trying to decide what grapes to buy.
Good.
Like, he's like, well, these ones seem slightly more tart, but these
maybe
ones,
does she prefer
like,
more tart
are more
experience?
like environmentally viable. Like, he's researching which grapes are best.
Good.
And I always think, like, if you're gonna have the nice guy be boring, like, really lean into it. Because you can have fun with that shit.
I don't think of good examples I've seen of that, of similar stuff.
Like, when Superman is written happy,
yeah,
people usually pull it off well. One of the best jokes in Justice League Unlimited is when, in the Christmas episode, when Superman brings Martian Manhunter to spend Christmas in Smallville with him and his parents. And they're talking about, like, oh yeah, and we would wrap Clark's presents in lead foil so he couldn't peek. And then Superman goes, "You mean Santa wrapped them in lead foil?"
Yes. Yes.
It's like, yes. Like,
yes. Good. Henry Cavill back at being Superman.
Yeah, but he's not going to be Geralt anymore, and that's sad.
Yeah, also he's not going to be, like, I'm wondering if they're going to do a scrunged up Superman, just because they're like, well, we've seen how hot everyone is for The Witcher. Can we do a scrungly Superman? The answer is no. He needs to be clean cut.
I am not going to watch him be Superman.
No.
But
Geralt Rivera.
I would have continued to watch him be Geralt. I found out that Jaskier means buttercup.
Yes.
And the English adapters of the games are cowards and should have called him Buttercup, not Dandelion.
Yep.
Like I understand them being like, Jaskier seems like too weird a name for English speakers. They should have named him Buttercup. That's way more like...
You could have hung some jokes on that. It would have been really good.
I mean, it also fits his man-slut personality better. but I like in the behind the scenes, there's the discussion about how supposedly like 15 years has passed between like Jaskier and Geralt's first adventures together and then later. And they're like, well, Geralt and Yennefer are immortal, so we don't have to change how they look. Yeah. And then they just forgot to update Jaskier's look.
Yep.
So they forgot to do something to make him appear younger or older in each of those stories.
And they're like, whoops. Whatever. He's just moisturized. He moisturized very well.
He's just using his man-slut powers to be young forever.
He's got like a Ryan Reynolds, Paul Rudd sort of situation happening. So handsome, he never ages.
Wealthy. He is very wealthy, so it checks out.
Yeah.
Sorry, spoilers to everyone in the chat. Jaskier's the secret Duke.
I mean, spoilers just generally, anytime we talk about shows. We do not hold back.
I finished watching the reboot of Animaniacs.
Oh yeah, how was that?
It lives up to the original, as in like it's okay. It had its moments. The main thing I thought while watching it was, is Bill Gates still a hamster?
Good.
And they did not answer that question, but they're apparently getting another season, so maybe they'll reference Bill Gates being a hamster. Or maybe they need Bill Gates' permission to have him be a hamster.
I need to draw some crows. Also got to figure out what's happening with these cars. Uh-oh, I'm drawing another car. Can't stop drawing cars. C needs one more car, and then I can do the street. There, and then that's the tundra behind there. A little forlorn tree situation.
There's a manga I'm editing for 7 Seas about a lady that fucks a giant snake.
You were telling me about that one.
Yeah, the manga artist did their homework. The snake has 2 dicks.
Okay. Important, I guess?
I mean, if you're going to a manga to get snake fucking content.
Yeah.
I assume that you care about, like, accuracy.
Like, that is part of what makes it hot, I guess? Question mark?
It's part of, like, if you want to see a lady fuck a giant snake, that's probably part of the things that you want to see.
Probably. You're like, well, the interesting thing about snakes is...
Yeah.
They got 2 dicks.
I feel like that's probably part of the appeal, so... like... Okay, then. And then, because Cardassians are snake in Star Trek...
Yes.
That made me wonder, do they have 2 dicks?
Sneaky lizard boys.
Do they have 2 dicks?
I mean, they'd have to. I guess they're not earth snakes, though.
Yeah, they might not.
They might not. What if they were like marsupial snakes? They have weird snake pouches.
I told you that I think Dax should have been a newt, right?
Yes, correct. I am 100% on board with Newt Dax.
Yeah, Dax should have been a Newt.
That is headcanon
And
accepted forever.
And especially because Bashir hitting on Dax so much in the early seasons. The only other ladies that he flirts with are also aliens.
Yep.
So, like, that makes Bashir look like not just a general, like, wants to fuck hot ladies, more like maybe he wants to fuck aliens.
He's just a xenophile. He likes some weird alien people.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, I've never had a
he has a
newt
very
before.
nice episode about an alien who is used to zero gravity. Like there's no gravity on her planet, or extremely low gravity. So she's in a wheelchair. And it's like they have like kind of Little Mermaid situation. Like her situation gets compared to the Little Mermaid.
Yeah.
Because he figures out like, okay, so I can do this procedure which will help you do stuff in higher gravity, but it will fuck with your ability to go home. So
right. What is your choice? Do you want to stay here with my kind forever?
Well, I mean, she's been traveling all around the universe, so like supposedly this is a problem where she's having it in more than one place, but but it interferes with her ability to go home and like visit her parents and shit.
She's like, but I want to have legs.
Yeah.
And hang out in these cool spaceports and travel.
She's okay with the wheelchair.
Feels like it potentially has some ableist overtones. Did they have to fix her, or was it just like she's like, no, this is the thing I want?
Well, I think that like is he has unintentionally done ableist things, and she is responding.
Right.
And at the end decides to not get fixed, quote unquote.
Yeah, she's like, no, I'm cool. I'm cool. Just staying this way. It's good.
And it starts with her yelling at him because she sent like specs for her wheelchair, and he quote unquote adjusted it to make it work better, and she's like, well, now it doesn't work like my other ones, and he's like, oh.
Yeah, I need it to be my wheelchair. Not whatever you think I need. It's like disabled people know what works best for them. Weird.
Yeah, that was basically the whole like message is to, hey Bashir, to like, she doesn't need to get fixed.
And she knows.
And so it's like, and so like the procedure, she was okay with it when she thought she could go back and forth, but it's like once it was like, okay, you have to pick one, she was like,
she's keeping... like, heck to that then. I've been fine like this. Like, let's just... I like my life. It's good. I get to hang out on cool alien planets and meet interesting, sexy aliens, so...
She does fuck Bashir, though. They have zero gravity sex.
Yep, good.
Anyway, here, I need to figure out if the sneaky Cardassians have two dicks, so I can draw a tonically accurate Bashir Garrick fanfic.
Good. Excellent. Post that on your Tumblr. Get some good interactions.
Except I'm not really gonna do that, because I don't draw fan art.
I love drawing. Fan art is so self-indulgent. I love it a lot. It's very good. Broke me out of many an art slump.
It has never been a thing that appealed to me. It's because I never know what to do.
Yeah.
I don't know what to draw if a thing doesn't have a story to it. Which is why I draw comics, is because I have a script. I know exactly what to draw and what they need to be doing. And all my attempts at drawing fan art are like, if I don't have like a thing that I'm trying to practice, I won't ever get around to doing the fan art.
Right. Whereas a lot of it is just like, here's a thing that amused me. What if this? Draw. Or what if they were just hanging out being adorable? I could make that happen.
And I'm like, what if I drew my own characters doing literally anything?
Yep. What if? What if I did, though? I have that power. I'm going to change this panel up slightly, I think. So yeah, my consensus is that I am staying on Twitter until it gets too awful to be on. If and when that happens, because I still want to interact with people and keep in touch with the folks that I use Twitter to keep in touch with. But in the meantime, I'm going to be trying out a bunch of different things to see if I can find anything else that's good for the things that I used Twitter for.
Yeah. I will continue to throw things into Twitter and not interact with
it.
Whatever's going on with them. I'm still waiting for RimWorld to update all of my mods.
So you can go back to RimWorld.
Yes,
I started a new playthrough because I'd heard that they had the vampires.
They have vampires, but my favorite modders are gonna make werewolves. So
good. I am making do because there is a type of Arctic humanoid that has fur and a beast voice.
They're basically
and all of that.
Wookiees.
Yeah, they're like Wookiees, but I've named them all werewolf names. In my vampire super base.
Right now, the So right now the big one that I'm waiting on is Pawn Morpher, which is the furry mutant mod.
Right.
And I want to see how they update it to work with the new shit. If it works with the new shit at all. Also the modders that I like to follow, the Vanilla Expanded team, they made a dinosaur race.
Oh really?
So they're So I'm gonna jump into maybe playing with some dinosaurs.
Good. I gotta find that dinosaur race. That sounds fun.
I will just link you to their Patreon. So actually,
Cool.
just look for Vanilla Expanded. All their mods will pop up.
Gotcha.
And the thing is the guy who runs Vanilla Expanded is he works on the official game. So a thing I like about the Vanilla Expanded mod is they're all they artistically mesh with the game.
Nice. There's several mods where there's stuff that doesn't, and it always is jarring.
And then so they artistically mesh with the game, and then they also because they're all made by the same people, all their mods like work well together and don't cause any super errors.
That's very useful.
So I know that the dinosaurs are not going to conflict with the
werewolves when they come out.
The werewolves when they come out, but also that they're not going to end up conflicting with like the nice doors that they made or the extra plant stuff that they made.
I like a good extra plant mod.
Yeah, so
most of my mods are all like, what about more farming stuff? What about more food?
So yeah, so the vanilla Plants Expanded adds like, so in the base game you have rice, which grows really quick.
Yeah, potatoes.
Corn, potatoes, which is the average one, and then corn, which takes forever to grow.
But you get lots of crop when you're done.
Yeah, and then heel root and cotton and devil strand. So
heel root makes you medicine, and cotton and devil strand make you different fabrics.
Yeah, so
that you can use for clothing.
So in Plants Expanded, they add sweet potatoes, which grow better in rocky soil. They add beets, which will grow all year round, but they can only grow in fertile soil. They add red peppers, which rodents won't eat. So if you have a bunch of the little wild animals running into your farm and eating your shit,
you don't have to fully fence it off.
They have cabbages are immune to drought. Like, so it's all the
they all have little bonuses.
Yeah, so like peas grow better in the rain.
Oh, cool. I also like the ones that add more furniture, especially more recreation stuff. There's not a lot in the vanilla game.
So they do that too. Like, so yeah, if you just look at the whole Vanilla Expanded stuff, they got a shit ton of things.
There was the last, when Ideation came out, or Ideology, I did a base of like pot smoking hippies, and there was several of the recreation things that were like lava lamps and other sort of like fascinate your colonists things. And so then my entire base was just like, anytime it was rec time, they were definitely taking a hit from that bong and going into the like crazy flashy lights room just to stare at the flashy lights.
So Vanilla Expanded Ideology has new types of ideology that you can add, new memes.
Nice.
One of which is you can make them hedonists.
Yes, I think my group was a hedonist group because they were all like, hell yeah.
And their new celebration is that they can have an orgy.
Good. Excellent.
If
that
if
would
you didn't
interact
have
really
this mod,
interestingly.
then they weren't. If they didn't have this mod, they weren't technically hedonists. They might have been high life.
I think they were high life, yeah.
Yeah,
Which is just like,
because the
it's what it
hedonist
sounds like.
it's literally, that's what it says, and it lets you have orgies.
Good. That would work very interestingly with the new fertility mods. Or not even mods, that's base game now.
Yeah. No, the kids are only in the DLC.
Right.
So the kids, but there were mods that added kids before the DLC came out, and the way
I saw
that
Spike playing
worked with
those.
so I had one time while I was playing, there was an orgy, and then like half the colony ended up pregnant at once.
And you're like, this is gonna play hell with my work roster, but okay.
This is too many babies.
In my base, I set all of the vampires to like no children, and then all of the werewolves to be like so many children. And then every once in a while, the vampires will like embrace one of the werewolf children that they quite like.
Okay.
I imagine a lot of the free mod one is just going to add new traits, because the trait system for the new RimWorld is really interesting.
Yeah, well, so that's partly why they basically had to redo their whole mod. It sounds like. Okay, I'm sending you a link to Vanilla Expanded.
Cool.
So you can see all their stuff, because they also have Vanilla Expanded Brewing, which puts in coffees and teas.
Oh, I like those.
I
like having my villagers have access to more than just like two drinks.
Yeah, so all their furniture mods are based on type. So like better security, better medical furniture.
Right.
I really like their architecture because it lets you build nice bridges.
That's useful.
They have fishing. You can put fishing in the game.
Nice. Oh, I've played a fishing mod before. I like those. Just one more food source.
And then they have cooking expanded so they have their regular cooking expanded, and then they have the fishing cooking expanded, where if you have their fishing mod and their cooking mod, you can make sushi.
Nice.
And then they have animals expanded, which just adds a shit ton of more animals. They used to divvy it up via like climate, but after the 1.4 update, they combined all their animal mods into one thing.
Gotcha.
So it's stuff like, rather than it being dogs are either a Labrador, a Husky, or a Terrier, it's like now you can have a Pug or a German Shepherd or a Great Dane or a bunch of other ones.
Interesting.
And then instead of just a cat, it's Sphinx cats, Max cats, Siamese cats, like all the cats.
Nice. All them breeds of cat.
Yeah. All the cats.
I've been playing the Halloween update for the Cult of the Lamb. That's been really fun. It's a very simple, quick update, but it gives you extra furniture and some new follower forms. And the music is really good. It's a really like nice, spooky, Halloweeny music. So that's nice.
Here's the dinosaur people.
You can make follower forms that are dinosaur people. Cult of the Lamb's art style is really weird and fun because they've decided that all of the animal people, because everyone in the game is like an animal person, but they're not like furries. They're like, we're all gonna have like people faces. So like if you're an elephant, you have a little round bean face with a little round bean mouth, and then the trunk is like coming out of the side of your head. And so all of them are like that. I just got the bird a Halloween unlock, and the bird is just like, I'm a bird. My beak comes out of the side of my head, but I have a bean mouth in the middle of my face. And I'll talk to you out of it.
Yeah. I keep meaning to check out Cult of the Lamb. I'm too much in my RimWorld hole.
Yeah, no, it's a good time to be in the RimWorld hole because there's some good RimWorld content. Cult of the Lamb's cute.
Yeah, so
I find I don't usually like roguelikes because they get a little bullet hell for me. But this one is very light on the bullet hell. And is actually quite relaxing to play, I find. The roguelike elements where it's just super repetitive are actually not annoying.
That's good.
Yep.
The dinosaurs can lay eggs.
Good. For their reproduction mod.
They made a custom start for the dinosaur people, which is you're a mama dinosaur and you just fled with your eggs.
Oh, good. And now you have to try to raise them.
You just have to protect them until they hatch, and then you raise them.
Good. The start for the vampire people is basically you're like, you were living comfy on another planet, and then the villagers found out that you were a vampire, and they chased you off planet, and you took like one drone with you, one human to feed off of, and now you're here. Have fun. Which I thought is a cool start for vampires in space.
I'm so excited that they're gonna make a werewolf mod.
They'll have to do moon-related states, but like they kind of already have that, so it shouldn't be too hard. Like phase of the moon.
Is that built into the vampires, a moon-related state?
It is not yet. You're also you don't like spontaneously combust if you go out in the sunlight or anything. You just have bad mood penalties. You're just like, I hate the sunlight. Wah. Which makes it a little easier.
That's good. I figured they would have gotten burns.
Yeah.
Because burns are in the game.
Yeah.
Like from acid and shit, but
I wonder if you can get burned if you spend long enough out in the sunlight. I've chosen a map that's mostly caves, and then we're just like weird cave dwelling vampires.
I always do caves.
Yeah. It's just early game security. Very good.
It's also I also turn off infestations.
Yes. They are a lot to deal with. And they don't add a lot to the game.
Part of me keeps wanting to design like a city, but there's too many like things drop on you for me to want to do that.
I guess you could turn it to peaceful and just be like, I just want some Sims time.
But
build a cool place.
Meteors can fall on you.
Yeah, and just destroy just wreck all your shit. Just like how in real life, the internet can completely go to shit and you have to completely redo your business model. Hey,
Yep.
keeping it topical.
Hey.
And this can happen at any time. Okay, this page is almost done. At long last. This is the page with the most intro shots in it, so it's been taking me forever. Just so many environments.
It's the classroom one.
Oh, this is the coffee shop one.
Ah.
I've been jumping back and forth between the two of them, trying to get my two big background heavy scenes done.
Did you see the updates for Clip Studio?
No.
They're doing a bunch that are first of all, they're fixing their lettering.
Finally, that's
so
long overdue.
The lettering will be better.
Good.
They're also adding a thing where you can pose your hand in your web camera and it will adjust, like if you're using one of their 3D figures.
Really?
It will adjust the figure's hand based on what you do with your hand.
No way. That's very cool.
I mean, right now, if you put a photo into Manga Studio, you can tell it, make the figure do the thing that's in this photo.
Yeah, and it will, which is really cool.
So it's basically a more updated version of that.
Neat. I saw a plugin for streaming where you can have a webcam pointed down at your hands, and then on screen there'll be a cartoon like Wacom pen, and it'll move as though it were drawing. So you can have like a little VTuber screen with like your VTuber hands drawing, which is neat.
Well, I'm pretty much done, and it's almost 10.
Yeah, I'm about ready to pack it in too. It's been a long drawing day.
Alright.
Already.
Thanks everyone for stopping by our streams.
Yeah.
If you want to find my stuff, like I said at the beginning, it's all at kelmcdonald.com. Also, next Tuesday, before the stream, I'm going to watch the movie Wolf, which stars Jack Nicholson and Michelle Pfeiffer.
Good.
In my Discord, if anyone would want to join. I'm going to do that at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So I'm basically going to watch the movie, then have some food, and then jump on stream.
Cool. So you'll be fresh and ready with all of the wolf knowledge.
Yes.
Excellent.
Yes.
For some wolf discourse. And what have I got going on here? You can find all my stuff at alenapete.com or weregeek.com, and yeah.
That's have a good one. Thanks, everyone. I'll be here tomorrow night, too. Later.
Bye.